here today in Abuja. We're seeing Governor Bala Mohammed meeting with Governor Seyi Makinde. Those are the two governors left in the PDP. They were also being joined in that meeting by Senator Seriake Dixon, who has left the PDP and moved to the NDC. The meeting was held at the Bauchi State Government House. But also, of course, we also understand that a former governor of Kano State had received Governor Seyi Makinde, Mr. Peter Obi in Kano, and with all of what we've seen, it seems to be a very major welcoming for the Salah celebration for the politicians in Kano State. But in all of what has happened, with the division that we're seeing on the Seyi Makinde side and the Wike side, continue tensions mount over the PDP's ability to field candidates in the 2027 elections. The stakes have never been higher. Is the PDP on the brink of collapse, or can it reinvent itself as a credible opposition? And what does this mean for Nigeria's democracy under Bola Tinubu and the ruling APC? Tonight, we speak to a key stakeholder who believes that they can do a better job than those who are in power today at the helm of affairs. He's once a presidential aspirant, Mr. Benga Olawepo-Hashim. He's live for us here in our studio. Thanks so much indeed for your time tonight.
Great to be here.
I appreciate it. You're one of those optimists who thought that the PDP can still hold its own and is still a party that is alive, although some people have declared it dead.
Well, I don't think it's good news for the APC government, as some will want to celebrate if your major opposition dies. You cease to be a democracy, and you'll be treated as a totalitarian state, especially when there are enough evidence on the table for observers to know that you play key roles in undermining multi-party democracy. Multi-party democracy is key for you to be welcomed in the civilized world. Totalitarian states that are one-party states are treated as pariah states and rogue states. So, if you are celebrating your road to be a pariah state, then you don't understand exactly what you are doing in governance. So I don't think it's simply the assignment of those who are in the opposition to ensure that there is competitive democracy. Because at the end of the day, you get hit as a country when you become a one-party state. This is not a desirable place to be in the modern world.
Who is to be blamed for that?
The global community will not be interested in who is to blame for that. I mean, there is a punishment for being a totalitarian state. And they are not Nigerians. They are not going to be picking and choosing. You come to a regime of sanction when you fall into that category of being a totalitarian state.
Let me ask you, Mr. Olawepo, if you enter into a divorce or your marriage is bad, would you blame your landlord or your neighbor for it?
Now,
I'm talking in respect to your party now.
It's not, I think you don't get the profundity of the first statement I made. That is not about, I've not blamed anybody. I've just told you that if you celebrate the defunct of multi-party democracy, then you must have your head knots in your country. Now, let's look at it. We signed to be a multi-party democracy as an independent state in 1960. And despite the outstanding achievement of our independent leaders, we never degenerated to a multi-party democracy. You will know that Nigeria grew the greatest in the first 6-7 years of independent rule, okay? we had the GDP that was twice that of Malaysia. We had a GDP that was bigger than Indonesia. Despite that fact, nobody venerated Sir Ahmadu Bello MPC as to say we don't need action group again. Okay? So despite the level of accomplishment of those leaders, we still had our multi-party democracy surviving. So what is the record of accomplishment now that would, warrant Nigeria being a one-party state? We have lost 50% of our GDP. We have become the poverty capital of the world. So is that the record that will make people celebrate the achievement of the ruling party? So there must be some other things leading to one-party states rather than performance in office. And those things are not very interesting story for anybody who is civilized.
Well, I mean, as some of you in the PDP who are leaders of the party, are you taking responsibility of how you manage the affairs of the party? Some of you, and I know that even as a younger self, came into the PDP in the early stage of the party. Yes. And I'm very sure that this is not the PDP that some of you thought that that the legacy of the founders of the PDP. I feel some of you taking responsibility of how you decimated the collapse
of the party system have been simply a PDP affair, then your question would have been fair. We saw Labour went down. ADC is grappling with some issue. Look, the very day Governor Adeleke went into our court, the next day we saw a faction. Any party you go to, the APC will give you a faction the next day. They have teams of lawyers, they are judges who are quiz to their game plan. So it's not a PDP affair. So if you reduce it to the internal struggles of the PDP, you miss the point. But let me answer your question. I'm not going to dodge that question. We have a responsibility as political leaders, despite all this, to ensure that we still bring the party together. And that's what I've been doing in the past 3 months. I've had meetings, I've gone around the country, I've spoken to senior statesmen who could call people to order, who could advise, because when multi-party system collapses, the Nigerian state comes under isolation.
Because
I think a lot of people don't get this.
Frankly speaking, if you have a totalitarian and an authoritarian, the manner in which you have described the APC, and let me help you, the Tinubu tendencies of politics, if you're not confident enough to say mention names, because the President Bola Tinubu has been blamed severally for what is happening in the PDP and his style of politics.
Not just PDP, Labour Party, ADC, every party. So Adeleke went to Accord Party. The next day, they gave him another faction. Then he had to fight from court.
Everybody is blaming Tinubu for that.
Any party you go to, and you are a person of stature, the next day APC will give you a faction.
So now, the question I'm asking here is that, yes, when there is a totalitarian and authoritarian tendency within the ruling party, that a lot of people now think that it doesn't want the opposition to thrive and want opposition dead. And the president has said that you are happy when you win. Yes, you are happy. And the PDP mounted the fact that it was going to lead Nigeria for 60 years plus. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But the question is that, don't you also think that some of you in the opposition are lazy? Are used to the tendency in the PDP where you just win election by writing result. Now things will become... Just a moment, sir. The opposition comes every 4 years when there's an election. There's nobody that is holding the Bola Tinubu and the APC to account.
Excuse me, when we fought the military,
all of a sudden, the opposition is running his head.
Let me cast you back to the history of the PDP. When we fought the military, President Bola Tinubu was one of those drinking cognac abroad. He was not here. The day Abacha died, I was in Fort IBB with some people as emissary of the G34 and the civil society group that confronted Abacha. I was in Fort IBB. They were moving tanks. We were civilians, negotiating a new republic. Alhaji Rimi, who was one of the founders of the PDP, was imprisoned in Ilorin. Chief Solomon La, that took the letter of the G34 to Abacha not to succeed himself, he took it by hand, not by courier. He took it to the lion's den. So those were lazy people. I don't think you know what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about
those are lazy.
I'm talking about the crop of opposition that we have today.
I'm still a member of the PDP.
In the last 2.5 years, where is your position?
I'm still a member
the
of the
Tinubu government
PDP.
And the APC, they run the affairs of this government. Where is your position? You've left even the civil society and a few of. It's so disappointing that this nation has been left, you're blaming. You're blaming the ruling party for your woes.
Excuse me. I'm not blaming them. That's a responsibility I've taken as a patriotic citizen of this country. And that is that we're all going to be damned if we become a totalitarian state. Number one, the quality of governance, of course, diminishes. You focus so much on Tinubu. When you have a one-party state, you are not going to have competing councillors. You are not going to have competing governors. You are not going to have competing senators. The quality of governance that thrives through competition degenerates completely. So it's not a conversation just about President Tinubu. Let me be honest with you. I don't hate President Tinubu. But I'm saying what is happening to our country is horrendous. You know, it's a tragedy. All right. So, and the conversation should not be reduced to President Tinubu and all that.
What happened? The party is planning a convention for the 29th and 30th. Are you in line? Are you going to attend that convention?
Look, the gentleman who spoke at the tape you just played all said it's an opportunity to unite the party. That I've been involved in talks between the two factions. And they have come to a position where they agreed they will have an harmonized executive. And then there was the infiltration of a fifth columnist. But I can tell you that there is an honest intention on both sides for harmonization and to have unity. And I'm never going to give up on that assignment. I'm going to work very hard and harder to ensure that we bring the two parties together, regardless of the notice of convention and the committees that have been set.
So is there the agreement now that they will not appeal that judgment, that nullify the Ibadan Convention?
Well, regardless of whatever all the sides do, if it were not for the INEC, and that's where I tell you that there's the hand of the ruling party and a biased electoral empire, the INEC, that puts all the party in crisis and under pressure. Look, if Professor Amukpita has not come to abridge the lawful window for the parties to take their time to sort out themselves by saying that parties must go into primaries in May, then there would have been no need for rush. You'd have taken your time to go to the Supreme Court, trash it, and everybody will get their outcome in the next 60 days. The Electoral Act has passed. Electoral Act 2026, Section 29, subsection 1, states that parties can bring their nomination 120 days to election. 120 days is September. But Professor Amukpita brought his own timetable. He wants them to go to primaries in May. So you see all these crises, tight schedule, are contrived. They're not natural. They're not even according to the law. And for the first time, even the law that was passed, that was read to all of us, it has not been gazetted. The first time in this country where a law is, even under the military, when they pass a decree, they gazette it. It's only APC members and President Tinubu that know the content of the Electoral Act. They will change it every second to fit the situation. You can't run a country like that. Please, we have a standard in this country. We are not a country to be run like motor park touts. Even under the military, when you make a law, you gazette it. We know the content of the law. As draconian as military rule, we have never had it so bad like this. That a law will be passed, whether it is a financial act like the tax law, or this, it will not be gazetted. It will only be known to a few people. The people, the apex of the National Assembly and the president, and then they are keeping it in their drawers. They change it as they like. You can't govern a democracy like that.
And I'd like to ask you, how do you move forward from here? And you say you've been having meetings, you've been speaking to stakeholders for best options.
I want you not to just reduce this matter to a brickbat of APC, PDP.
No, I'm talking about
democracy and the future of your country.
I'm being specific about the issues now, and I'm saying that what is the option that you have put on the table as a panacea for moving forward?
We both agreed.
Yeah.
The two factions agreed with me. Okay, all of us agreed that we will harmonize the executives.
And that agreement has been, both of them have gone. What is the model of the harmonization?
Before the appeal court
judgment,
that was that agreement.
That stand has been.
That was in principle agreement regarding this. But like I told you, some fifth columnists came into the show. They messed up the talk. But both sides, even up to now, still confirm they are willing to sit down, get back to the table.
What would be the model and the criteria?
I'm not going to define all that in a show like this. Let me pass one information and take me on my honor for it that there's an agreement in principle.
And you are in the middle of this?
Yes, of course. It's been publicly covered. All the meetings that I called, I went, I spoke around to people. The papers reported it.
And you are doing this also for survival's sake, because you want to be president and you want the ticket of the party. So you want the party to survive so that you can be on the ballot.
Well, anyone who wants to be president must have some problem-solving skills, really. I don't run away from challenges. I told you that when Abacha died, we were in Fort IBB negotiating with the military high command, a new transition. I was not abroad. I had the option to, I was offered exile opportunity. I never took it. I said, we have business to fix it. I don't run away from responsibility. I stay there. I fight it out. I think it out. We sort it out. That's how I've lived all my life. I don't run from challenges.
You heard what former Senate President and former Governor of Kwara State said. His own way of wanting to reconcile. He's been as a chair of the Reconciliation Committee. Do you agree with Senator Saraki?
That was before the crisis blew up, you know. All this now, a lot of things are catching up quickly, you know. I've just told you what I know. The two sides agree to share position, and they are happy to go back to the table as soon as possible. And that, for me, is the best way for the party. Any unilateral solution by either side complicates the matter. What we need is a joint position. If we're going to have a convention, we're going to have a joint convention. If we are going to have a NEC meeting, we should have a joint NEC meeting.
There are
not factional initiatives.
Realistically speaking, there are two major power blocks within the PDP right now. Yeah. Those of the Seyi Makinde tendency and the ones on the Wike side.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about.
So the question here, I've seen you and it's been reported, you've met with Governor Seyi Makinde. Yeah. But we've not heard you meeting with James Wike.
Well, I met with Abdurrahman Group.
Okay.
I've met with...
But not directly with the minister.
Well, I'm happy to meet him any day. I will meet anybody under the sun that can help solve this problem. I'm happy to meet him.
Have you met with former President Olusegun Obasanjo?
Of course I did.
What about Goodluck Jonathan?
I met with General Babangida, I met with General Guzo, I've met very important
What about former President Goodluck Jonathan?
In this country, you know. We've been speaking, but through some of his friends, you know, but we've not really sat down with him. He's the only former president connected with the PDP that we have not sat together with. Every other ones we've really sat down and talked about this. And they all express their desire that multi-party democracy survives. As statesmen, they should be interested. You know how much effort President Obasanjo made to get Nigeria to be welcomed back into Committee of Civilized Nation in 1999. I think we take all this for granted. We're a pariah state after Abacha died. And it was a whole lot of effort. It was a whole lot of effort to have even our books cleansed up. And we started having upsurge of FDIs. Now, when you behave like a rogue state, no matter how many trips you make aboard, you are not going to get any serious investment. Nobody wants to put his money in a place where the rules are not quite clear. You understand? You make a law and you put it in the drawer. Nobody knows the content of the law. And you want people to come and put their money here. You must be kidding.
So, Mr. Olawepo, the PDP has been described differently by many people. And the trust, there's been a trust deficit on that party. And it's most dangerous if you go into an election with that kind of stature. And there are those who have described that the party is
so
really, just for a moment, let me put in the question, sir. What do you say to Nigerians who now see the PDP as unstable and unelectable?
Well, the area council election in Abuja did not show that PDP is unelectable. At least there's an empirical evidence. We just had an area council election. Abuja is a microcosm of Nigeria where you have all the ethnic groups. And PDP did fantastically well, competitively, better than other parties that have been touted as alternative. As a matter of fact, if we went by the actual result, PDP won 3 chairmanship council seats. Kuje, Buhari, the Buhari guy was forced to withdraw, blackmail, and forced to withdraw 3 days to election. PDP still won 5 councillorship in that place. So I won my place.
You insist that PDP is still electable?
Well, PDP is the most competitive. And that's why there is so much effort to destroy the PDP. All right? Now, I'll ask you a question.
To destroy or to bury it? Because there are those who believe that it's already destroyed.
Well, that is their own delusion, And I ask you, if APC today could boast of about 32 or 33 governors, how many really? I've lost count, Then they should be happy to organize free and fair election. They should be happy to transmit the results, from the polling units to the IRF. Why are they afraid of free and fair election? If PDP is dead and buried. If opposition is dead and buried. Why are they afraid of free and fair election? The APC is afraid. Now, all the propagandists, all the internet boys can celebrate President Tinubu as a strategy, but he's certainly not a fool. He has done the polls, and he knows that a free and fair election to the APC cannot score 20% of the vote. He knows that.
There is a poll, right?
He knows that. And if you are going for election, you must be polling. You must be polling regularly if you are going for election. He's not a fool. So he must be polling.
If the APC went for an election today,
it will not score 20% of the vote. Even with all the... Look.
They are that unpopular?
Look.
Everybody, in your own description.
Excuse me. Even in their party, they know those who are waiting to bite them by the back, even in the same party. They have more issues than the PDP. Okay? The only issue is that the Nigerian political elite is very greedy substantially. Okay? And they want to stay where the pie is. Now, the grassroots are a bit more honest about the way they behave. And that's why you see governors go, but really they don't carry their grassroots like that.
So you're not bothered about
the way when they jump, the grassroots does not jump.
So you only have 2 governors left.
Even if we don't have any governor, it doesn't matter. Look, in 1998, there were no party had any governor. Nobody had any president. Everybody had party leaders. And we went for election. And because the PDP was formed as a grassroots party, comprising of 13 political associations, who individually would have been independent political parties, the PDP won 2/3 of seats during the local government election. And we are all political associations. And it was the victory at the local government election that called. You are from Electable. Electable was PDP. It was not APP, where Dr. Saraki was at that time. It was PDP. Electable was PDP. Ishin local government was PDP. All those local, Onyu was PDP. 8 councillors. Okay? So, and we were the leaders. Everybody went to his local government at that time. I was doing my politics in Kwara then, but now I do my politics in Abuja. And you saw the result again. When we went to the, it's bad, everybody wrote PDP off. In the area council election, you saw the result.
What do you make of what is happening back home in your state of Kwara?
Yeah. In what? In
governance, security?
Well, the security obviously has deteriorated. And this is a problem not just for Kwara, but most of the north central states, particularly those in the exits of Niger, Kwara, Kebbi, you know. And it's a very serious thing, and it's a trend that we've been speaking on for about 2-3 years. And the governor does not have what it takes, not because he's not a good man, but really the security is not in the hand of any governor in this country, really. It's still a federal affair. It's a federal show.
Give me an idea from your own perspective of the danger in PDP not making it to the ballot in 2027.
Well, the danger is...
Some of us see that possibility happening.
It's not just about the PDP. All right? The plan is not to have any opposition at all. The ADC has its own issues at the appeal court now. You don't know how that is going to end. So it's not a danger of the PDP. And
so it's not even safe to run on the platform of the ADC?
It's not.
Neither is it safe to run on the platform of PDP.
There is no party that there are no issues in court with.
Except the APC.
Except the APC. So, and that tells you something. So it's not about PDP. And if we're going to be honest with us, all the political leaders cannot be foolish. And it's only those who are in APC that are thinking.
If you claim that this is the agenda of the ruling APC, to what end? Because this is going to be the destruction and the death of our democracy. To what end do you think that President Tinubu and his party want to destroy our democracy? Because these allegations are grave. Well, if anyone is, he came in through the democratic means.
That is what.
So if anybody is planning to kill our democracy, to what end?
That is what they are doing by default.
Unknowingly?
That is what they are doing by
default. Is it unknowingly or intentionally? These are grave allegations.
They want to turn our democracy to a Mobutu kind of democracy. Under Mobutu Sese Seko, where Mobutu was just doing whatever he liked inside. The kind of thing that happened under Ofogwa in Ivory Coast. But the world has gone past that stage. You know, there are norms. There are norms. There are international norms now that didn't exist in those era of the Cold War. All right? And any country that has been democratic that violates those norms will come under such sanction. I'm not sure that they are conscious of the implication of what they are doing. But they just think they are smart. They are not really conscious of the implication.
Fundamentally, yeah. And you understand strategy when it comes to politics. In you, and I know because you're an opposition member or person, you will not say so and so is the chance of the ruling APC. But in the real sense of it, let's be realistic. The manner in which the APC has put itself together and organized itself, which opposition party can defeat it today as it's currently formed?
PDP.
Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Is that a joke, sir?
Even without a single governor. Yeah, the reason is simple. There is no polling unit in Nigeria where you will not find 5 to 10 PDP members, despite all these governors who have gone. And when you go to states, they just keep saying, Joe, please, whatever you can do about this thing. If you go to the north, the same thing. They will tell you people just sort it out.
I thought all those interests have gone to the ADC, and ADC is cashing in on all of those.
Yeah. If you see from the back end, the registration of members going on in PDP, it will wow you. Despite all these things, this online registration that is currently going on, the numbers we are seeing are huge. I'm sure that even the people, the strategies of the APC, they know this. They know PDP is not dead. You can proclaim it dead in the studio. They don't fool themselves that it is dead.
Give us an idea of what happened in the UK, the kind of reception that the president got from the British government and the royals there, and some of the benefits and the profits that the government says they brought back home. As a businessman, that's his cherry, isn't it?
When you have lost about 50% of your GDP compared to 2014 levels, you need more than Mickey Mouse promissory notes to revive your economy. You need Keynesian intervention. You need plans like that of Roosevelt after the economic depression, the great economic depression in America. Not Mickey Mouse promissories of 600 million pounds investment, 500 million. Where we are now is more terrible than that.
So you don't.
So I really don't take that. I think it's a joke. I don't take that seriously.
The UK trip for you?
I don't. It's just a joke. I don't take it seriously.
On a final note, Mr. Olawepo, how do you assess this government and election? We are in the election season because the calendar is open and the schedule has really been activated. The government says, look, whatever we are going to do in terms of changing the lives of Nigerians, it might be difficult because reforms have to be made, and reforms are usually tough on the pockets of the average person. But in the end, there will be joy. There will be joy. Can you see that the joy is coming or not?
On their own pocket. They are enjoying. They are living large. The families of elites who are in APC are living large, but the people are suffering. Their sermons will be more interesting if their own lifestyle reflects the same austere lifestyle they recommend for Nigerians.
That's your take?
Yeah, that's my take.
And you don't see any traction towards the positive trend?
Even they don't see any traction, and that's why they want to rig election. You know, a free and fair election.
To rig the election?
Yes, a free and fair election. They are rigging the timetable. So, yeah, if the Electoral Act says your cutoff point is September to make your nomination, and because they see, oh, let's hurry these guys before they settle all their crises. All of you come and do your primaries in May. Closing down. So they've started rigging the election by rigging the timetable. The Electoral Act gives everybody a window to come in September. But they want you to come in May while some of you are still trying to sort out yourself in court, do your congresses. They've been campaigning with government money, funding Renew Hope, doing billboards, going about 1 year ago. Now they don't want anybody to do that. This is rigging. It's not the rigging of election. It's not just on election day alone. You start the rigging by timetable. You start the rigging by early campaigns.
All right. Mr. Gbenga Olawepo-Hashim is a businessman and a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, who is also eyeing to become president and being on the ballot in 2027 election. But thanks so much indeed. Always a pleasure having you join us.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate it.